It's Joe on the radio, 742. Bob Hennelly's been with us before. He's award-winning investigative journalist, a reporter with the Chief Leader live in the studio. Hey, man, thanks for coming in. Bob, good to see you again, my brother.
Happy Chief Leader Tuesday. Here's a free copy of the Chief Leader.
Thank you.
It's a nice telecommunications associate's job if this thing doesn't work out. 42 grand to get started. Anyway, you know what we say at the Chief Leader? Are you smarter than your boss? Then take the test.
This is great right here. Thank you. They put the ad. That makes you feel good when you work there. We need a work. It's like we do the same thing. They go, if you're a salesperson, call AM 970 Answer. And me, we're sitting there going, we got 10,000 salespeople there. Yet they're going on the air looking for more salespeople. Thank God business is good.
All right.
Telecommunications associates, stated job starting. And this is the Chief Leader. We appreciate it.
Right.
You know what I'm really impressed with? Your press pass that I have. Mine has expired. I went to the police department. I got my press pass. It's expired. But I got to get Tell me you got a parking pass, too.
I do not.
Huh?
No. We don't want to push the limit. I've been doing this for 30 years. We don't push.
God
Don't
bless
get
you.
greedy.
Yeah, that's yeah. You can say, hey, thanks, boys. Now with my parking pass, because only Al Gattulo could do that. Al has an NYP parking pass. He does. Yes,
That's
he
right.
does.
I have plates.
But
And he's operating the controls, which makes him essential personnel in the event of a natural disaster.
That's right.
That's so true.
But my question is, he does a beer show, right? So what breaking news
You just
does he
answered your
need to
question.
cover that requires him to have
This
a parking
is not
pass?
about me.
I've walked into a conversation you've had before.
Oh, plenty of times. Plenty of times.
You can tell, man. No, it's because he's. Is that from the Jets games out? I know, Bob, you're here. We're
No,
fascinated.
this is for. Do we need to discuss this?
I'm telling you,
Man?
Bob-
I want a press pass.
Bob's
I want an
an-
NYP plate.
Joe, Bob's an investigative journalist,
Ah,
so you don't want Bob
come
to start
on,
investigating
come on.
this one.
I have nothing to hide. I can tell the
know,
truth very easily.
that's the
The
problem.
hidden currency of media access. Don't you want to know?
That's right.
Bob, you had a fascinating story in the Chief about what the MTA is doing to tackle the homelessness problem. Thank God somebody's doing something, brother. What's going on?
Well, here, I mean, we got to put it in national context because we hear about this because of civil servants are bearing the brunt of all the things we ignore. So when we walk by and see somebody with their pants around their ankles in their own excrement, we can go onto our job, but there's a cop, a firefighter, EMT, TW car cleaner, librarian. Here's a wild fact for you. 2 million people are homeless. A huge percentage of them, 20-some-odd%, are severely mentally ill. You're old enough. We're of a certain vintage. You remember the idea we're going to deinstitutionalize the mentally ill. Remember that idea? I guess it was
Ronald Reagan.
Cuomo the Elder.
Oh,
It was,
Mario?
and
Yeah.
Geraldo Rivera did great breakthrough reporting about people being
yes.
strapped to their beds.
Yeah,
And then we had an idea we let them be free, but we were going to have, and this is the part we didn't do, community neighborhood places for them to go, which we didn't do. So now those places are our transit systems, our libraries. Go across the country. Just type in assault librarian. A wonderful member of the community in Fort Myers, stabbed, library director killed by a homeless person who was trying to help. This is happening across the country. Civil servants are bearing the brunt of it. So in the subway, this has been going on under this lackluster, and I'm being generous, performance by Mayor de Blasio with letting this humanitarian crisis, and let's put it not so much in law and order context, but as a humanitarian crisis. And so the MTA now and the governor and the folks are now trying to actually do something to deal with it, because what this is coming out of is a report by DiNapoli, the controller, straight shooter, that apparently over 4 years, the Bowery Residents Committee, a nonprofit, took like $8 million to do outreach and sat in their offices in Penn Station and Grand Central with their feet up on the desk.
Nothing at all.
And so now it blew up. That's when there's a little bit of a connection here. I know it's not politically correct, but let's see, fares and ridership declined while the homeless humanitarian crisis blew up. Could there be a connection?
But why the rise in homelessness? I mean, we've seen it throughout. You're right. I've been in New York for like ever.
Right.
And I remember, man, I started out in the late '70s, my brother, and you could see this town was bad before Mayor Giuliani came in, and certainly Bill Broughton took over with broken windows. But why under these Democratic or like Bill de Blasio's, Gavin Newsom?
I'm sorry, it's bipartisan.
Yeah,
this
it
is
is
something that's happened because multinational capital. In my experience, when I started this job, I was 17, working as a reporter. 2,100 homicides. Remember that time? You were talking about that. Now it's under 400. But what's happened is the international money comes in and invests in real estate here, and they're squeezing out working class people. Even a civil service income with 2 civil service incomes, you're living in orange. You're living further and further out from the city. So this has had an impact on the SROs, a place where you could live with dignity. You shared a bathroom, but it was a clean room. All that architecture is gone. And during Michael never saw development he didn't like Bloomberg. We lost all that kind of affordable housing. So it has to be put in that context, plus the failure of the mental health system.
You know, I saw Dr. Ben Carson talking on TV about that, and I said, well, I wish he would. I don't know that. I said to him, I remember thinking, I wish he didn't take that turn, but he was making sense now. The pricing of these big cities like San Francisco and New York are just keeping people out where they can't afford to live.
Exactly. And part of it has to do with the fact that we are having a situation where people are buying these luxury properties and only staying here from Christmas to New Year's, Joe. The Times did a story about this, so you have this overcapacity in terms of luxury and not even the minimal bare housing to meet people's needs.
And I got the biggest hotel room in New York last night. I just was talking about it. It was by accident because I got bumped from one room. They felt bad that they kicked me out of the room. I should bring some homeless home with me this afternoon. Just for the afternoon to play pool in my. I got a pool table in the hotel room right now. I feel guilty. But tell me, how much has the MTA spent on homeless outreach over the last decade?
Well, I would say that the $9 million contract, but probably tens of millions of more than that. And we have to look at it in the broader context of the city. So what's happened with the city, because that's really, the city is the context this happens in. People are seeking sanctuary in the subway because they find the shelters are not tenable. And that's what they do because they know there's a kind of randomness there. But the problem is that we're spending more and more on this issue and getting less and less results. The thing to do is get these people out of this day-to-day homeless, and there's kids caught up in this, thousands of kids caught up in this.
I know.
And it's more cost-effective to get them out of it. But the problem is, and this sounds cynical, but there's a certain sector of our city that's figured out how to make money keeping it just the way it is. And we call that Homeless Inc.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. There's money off of it because I was on Madison Avenue I was in a cab going wherever I was going for the parade thing. Homeless woman right. It was a beautiful area. And she's got her whole thing going. And one lady's trying to talk to her. The guy I step over every day, they walk to work on Wall Street, Gerald Nadler's district down here. If he just would come down and take a look around, how do you help? How can you go to that one person individually?
Well,
how can we help?
And you do see New Yorkers do this.
Yeah.
And there's New Yorkers who developed a relationship because as a religious person or person of faith, whatever faith that is, you have to put that faith in action, especially if we're prosperous and been blessed.
Yeah.
But the problem is that these systems we've created perpetuate it. And so we need to step back and figure out a way to make sure that police, cops, EMTs are empowered to solve the problem. Right now, they're moved around from one bureaucracy to another. We need to find a way, one, to bring compassion to how we deal with the mentally ill, because that's the big problem.
Exactly right.
And then also take responsibility. Here's the other problem. Families, the decline and disintegration of families. You have a situation where the mom or grandma is on the street. This is something we didn't see. So it has to happen on two fronts, public policy and within our families. We have to care.
Great piece, award-winning investigative journalist and reporter with the chief leader. I hold in my hand right here, Bob Hennelly. Bob, before we let you go, I know Five Boroughs wants me to ask you about these organized labor issues before we break out. I know we got to break. What are you hearing from the Transport Workers Union on this story?
They like to hear their voices in the story because, remember, they're the people that are getting assaulted by the mentally ill people. Often they don't even tell the job about it because you'll lose a day pay.
No.
Absolutely. Unless you get stabbed, if you get spit on or get assaulted, because
Which
of the
happens all the
adversarial
time.
nature of, if you have to clean the car, that's your job. You got to do that. You get abused by a homeless person, you could end up losing a whole bunch of time because you're on the defensive by the job, which considers you to be a problem for raising the issue.
Thank you for doing this, man.
Hey, my pleasure.
Great
Thanks
work.
for having me.
Bob Hennelly, award-winning investigative journalist and a reporter with this great publication.
And take
right
the
here.
test.
The chief leader. Hey, look at that. Not a bad starting salary. I'm on it. Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it very much.